Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, His Grace BalDev Prabhuji. And Prabhuji would be enlightening us by walking us through Srimad Bhagavatam 4.14.1 onwards. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, are you there on the call?
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances into all of your lotus feet, all glories to Prabhupada. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, your valuable time and association this morning. I would like to hand over the call to you now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 14th chapter, text number 1. Maitreya Vacha Bhrugu Adayasthe Munayo Lokanam Shemadarshina Guptari Asati Vairnam Pashyanta Pashu Samyatam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Maitreya continued, O great hero Vidura, the great sages headed by Bhrigu were always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. When they saw that in the absence of King Anga, there was no one to protect the interest of the people, they understood that without a ruler, the people would become independent and non-regulated. In this verse, the significant word is Shema Darshinaha, which refers to those who are always looking after the welfare of the people in general. All the great sages, headed by Bhrigu Rishi, were always thinking of how to elevate all the people of the universe to the spiritual platform. Indeed, they advised the kings of every planet to rule the people with that ultimate goal of life in mind. The great sages used to advise the head of the state or the king, and he used to rule the populace in accordance with their instruction. After the disappearance of King Anga, there was no one to follow the instructions of the great sages. Consequently, all the citizens became unruly, so much so that they could be compared to animals. As described in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, human society must be divided into 4 orders according to quality and work. In every society, there must be an intelligent class, administrative class, productive class, and worker class. In modern democracy, these scientific divisions are turned topsy-turvy, and by vote, Shudras or workers are chosen for administrative posts. Having no knowledge of the ultimate goal of life, such persons whimsically enact laws without knowledge of life's purpose. The result is no one is happy. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshakari Pancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhuye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are beginning a new chapter now here, the 14th chapter, the story of King Veda. So in the previous chapter, we saw the beautiful story of King Anga, who was a very great king. He was a Raja Rishi, saint among kings. There are many kinds of rishis: Brahma Rishi, Raja Rishi, Deva Rishi. So Deva Rishi is one who is a saint among Devatas, Deva Rishi. Brahma Rishi is those who are Brahman realized, Munis, sages. Among them, they are the greatest Brahma Rishis. And there is Raja Rishi, means amongst the kings, one who are great devotees. They are called Raja Rishis. So King Anga was a great Raja Rishi. And now the next generation of King Anga is his son, King Vena. We will hear about the atrocities. We already heard about the atrocities of King Vena. Now we will hear about the atrocities of we'll hear more about the atrocities of King Vena. And now we will see what the sages are doing here. This particular translation mentions about that the great sages headed by Bhrigu were thinking of the welfare of people in general. So here we see that the main tagline is how even though the king is not as good as the previous one, yet the great sages have not given up giving advice to the kings. It is said that in the previous ages, the king was a Rajarishi, yet he had also advisory board. An advisory board would sit many Brahmanas, would advise him how to rule the kingdom and advise him how to act. There are many stories we know from Mahabharata and Ramayana of great rishis, of great Raja rishis like Janak Maharaj, consulted from great Brahma rishis, great sages. Harshat Maharaj also would consult from Vashishta Rishi, Vishwamitra Rishi. In Mahabharata, Yudhishthira Maharaj consulted with many Brahma rishis and sages. Right. So this is the tradition amongst monarchical rules, where a very qualified king would rule the subject, but he would also be guided, or he would love to take also guidance from great rishis, Brahma rishis, etc. So, an amazing point which is conveyed here is that how the great sages, being situated in Brahman, even though they have nothing to do with this material world, they're embarking on the path of Krishna consciousness. Yet we see that they're also grounded. They're also thinking about this world, and apart from thinking about this world, they're also wishing well. Their life is already secured. They are doing well in Krishna consciousness. They are absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Yet there is also a place in their heart for people in general about their welfare. Janma sarthak kari koro paropkar. So the Janma sarthak is done, and now they're also doing the duty of paropkar. Paropkar is to think of the welfare of people in general. So there are many, many instances in uh, the scriptures where we see how great devotees are always doing paropkar. Now, one example we can always remember about paropkar is the life of Narad Muni. Narad Muni has already fulfilled the purpose of his life. We can hear that about read in first canto of Bhagavatam, the first few chapters, and then after Narad Muni has become Narad Muni, now he is traveling all over the world doing paropkar, or is geared upon doing welfare of all citizens or all the living entities. And then we see that in his travels around the world, he has made so many devotees, not just Prahlad Maharaj, but even people like Dhruva, then Prachini Parishad King, Bragari, Valmiki Rishi, and Prachetas, so many of them. Not Prachetas, sorry, the son of Daksha Maharaj. In this way, we can see that Narad Muni is always moving around the world, always thinking about the welfare of the world. Now, I remember one very nice, beautiful story of Hanumanji and Narad Muni. Narad Muni was once traveling, and he came across a place where Hanumanji was chanting the Ram Katha. So Narad Muni, he told Hanumanji Hanumanji, I have come to know from reliable sources that you are not a great devotee of Lord Ram. So this was very amazing to hear from Narad Muni. Narad Muni is always glorifying great Vaishnavas. But he is saying that Hanumanji is not a great devotee of Lord Ram. So Hanumanji hears that, he is very amazed. He also likes that someone is really telling him that he is not a great devotee, and is very happy to hear that. However, uh, Narad Muni, after saying that, he waits and watches the reaction of Hanumanji. Seeing Hanumanji very cool, Narad Muni asked him, so don't you want an explanation for this? Hanumanji said, if you wish, you can tell me. Otherwise, I know that I am not a great devotee. So Narad Muni said, you are not a great devotee as in proved by scriptures. The scripture says that there are 6 kinds of aggressors. And amongst aggressors, 6 kinds, there are people who have burned others' houses, have kidnapped someone's wife, and given poison. And in this way, Narad Muni lists the 6 aggressors mentioned in the scriptures. And then Narad Muni says, Hanumanji, you are one of the aggressors because you have burnt many people's house. So here Narad Muni was indicating that Hanumanji has burned Lanka. So therefore, because you are an aggressor, you are not a devotee of Lord Ram. So Hanumanji starts laughing very loudly. Narad Muni asks, why you are laughing? Didn't you like my explanation? Hanumanji said, oh, that burning of Lanka. Then Hanumanji says that, oh, but I also read from scriptures that if someone is dead, one should burn the dead body. Because unless you burn the dead body or cremate the dead body, what will happen? The person who has left the dead body, the living entity, will not able to get the next body because he is still hovering and is still attached to that body which is still lying there. So I was actually helping in Lanka to burn the dead bodies. Argument said, burn the dead bodies? But they were living bodies. So how come they were dead bodies? Then Hanumanji mentioned the same scripture you are quoting. Same scripture says that if someone is not chanting the holy names of Lord Ram, that person is actually living dead, right? And because he's a living dead, that person is, that person is living dead. And so when I went to Lanka, I saw that all the people who were there, they were not chanting Lord Ram's name. So I saw only dead bodies in Lanka. And I was very much concerned about their welfare. And these are dead bodies and they are not chanting the Lord Ram's name. They have no destination further. So I want to help them, at least in the next life. So therefore I burned the whole Lanka so that I could burn the dead bodies. And then after burning all the dead bodies, these bodies can get further opportunity to perfect their human form of life in the next. So Narad Muni heard that, he started laughing. He said, Hanumanji, I knew that you would have such a witty explanation and that you burned the Lanka just out of welfare for the people. You were thinking about not only just making them devotees, but because they were not becoming devotees, you thought at least in the next life they should get a chance for Krishna consciousness. So here's a very simplistic and humorous example of Hanumanji uh, giving Shastric evidence of even burning Lanka for the welfare. In the Battle of Kurukshetra also we see that even those who are on the opposite party of the Pandavas, they were they got an opportunity to get liberation. In some pages, Srila Prabhupada said liberation. In some places, Prabhupada says they went back to Godhead. And Prabhupada mentions that they were killed by the Mahaprasad arrows of Arjuna. Right? So Arjuna was killing them, and by the Mahaprasad arrows, they were being killed, and they also saw Lord Krishna in the battlefield, and they were getting liberated. So this is also welfare. Right? There is another kind of welfare. Now, the general welfare which we are aware is how great sages come and they deliver people, make them devotees or bhaktas. It's another example of Narad Muni from the Chaitanya Mangal, which is also quoted, the story is quoted in Jaimini Mahabharata. Narad Muni was traveling and his eyes fell on the earth planet. And when his eyes fell on the earth planet, he saw that on the earth planet right now, Dwapara Yuga was going on, the end of Dwapara. And he could foresee the future and he could see what's going to happen in the next age, that is Kali Yuga. So he saw that Kali Yuga was the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And there are going to be so many problems. People are going to be not God conscious, atheists, non believers. So he became very concerned about people of Kali Yuga. And he, being a preacher, he was trying to plot out some strategies and plans how to help people in Kali Yuga. But somehow all the strategies and plans and whatever resources, ideas he had got were all failing. So he became very disturbed, began to cry. Narada was thinking, I should somehow get a solution and help for this age of Kali Yuga, people in the age of Kali Yuga. And then Narada remembered that at this time in Dwapar Yuga, on Earth planet, Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna is doing his pastimes. Narada decided to go to Krishna and ask him this particular uh, solution of how people in age of Kali Yuga can be helped. So Narad Muni comes to Dwarka, that is the place where Krishna is staying right now. And Krishna has just come into Dwarka. And while Narad Muni is on his way, Krishna has entered the palace of Rukmini Devi. And she is very happy to welcome her husband back after a very long time. Krishna was in Hastinapur with the Pandavas for a long time. So she makes Krishna sit on the uh, chair or sofa, sitting, and then she's washing the beautiful lotus feet of Krishna. While washing, she is very happy. But while happy, what happens is tears roll out from her eyes. She's crying also, happily crying. So Krishna becomes intrigued and asks Rukmini Devi, why are you crying? Crying is a sign of sadness. Are you sad that I have come back? Rukmini says, no, this crying is not sad crying, this is happy crying. I'm I am just having mixed emotions here. I'm so happy that you are here. That happiness has resulted in crying. It's a unique crying where a person cries out of happiness also. Prabhupada says in one purport of Srimad Bhagavatham. And when someone is crying out of happiness, the tears are cold. And when someone cries in distress, the tears are hot. So Rukmini Devi said that this crying in happiness, Krishna, you will never know. Krishna says, I can never know. I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. All knowledge is coming from me. All Vedas are coming from me. And yet you say that I do not know this. What is it I do not know? He said, Krishna, these emotions only your devotee. You are the Lord. You are taking service. Accepting all things. You enjoy by giving service. That is your enjoyment and service. Which you will not understand because you are Lord. You it is and I want to understand this because you are I will do something to her. And at the same time, Bharatani appears very special. And they will go to train. People are trying it. And Bharatani submits petition that Kali Yuga is coming to Krishna. So mercifully help people in Kali Yuga. Please let me know what is the strategy and plan for the Yuga. Here in Kali Yuga, in both this work, I come to and relish devotional service as told by Rukmini Devi. At the same time, in the Lord, I propagate this love which great devotees like Radharani to experience by serving me. I will give it very easily to the gently. It is standing up. So Chaitanya mentions this is as one of the uh, three pastimes with the advent of Lord Chaitanya to appear to external reasons and internal reasons. External reason is to as a yoga dharma is propagating the methodology of Krishna. Internal reason is come to wish for great devotees like Srimad. So here we can see how the welfare of life is most important. As we mentioned in the beginning of the fulfill the criteria of the perfection and ensure that thorough that is ensure good ethical for people in general who are not Prabhupada always said that Krishna consciousness Janma Sarthaka while we are on our way to achieve perfection in Krishna, whatever little we have, we also share. And by that sharing, there is a unique rasa or taste which we get. So therefore, our movement, Krishna consciousness movement, is preaching movement. We are learning and we are also sharing whatever we have learned. Janma Sarthakari, Koro Paropkara. So in this way, there are many instances in Shastra about how devotees, great devotees like Narad Muni, Hanumanji, they are always geared to work for the welfare of others. There is a beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavi Viraditam Kalmashapaham. This is a very beautiful verse Srila Prabhupada quoted many times, which mentions about how the great literatures composed by great sages, they create revolution in the life of misdirected civilization. So many times Prabhupada and little Prabhupada disciples also quote that this refers to those devotees who are preaching Krishna consciousness. They go out of their way. And many senior devotees in ISKCON have quoted Srila Prabhupada as the apt example of this verse of Tava Kathamritam. That how he traveled all over the world, neglecting his own personal inconveniences, and then he just preached and he went. One time Srila Prabhupada was traveling and he reached a particular place. So many reporters had come to ask Prabhupada various questions. And one reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, Swami, you have been traveling for so long time. You was an old person. Do you experience inconvenience while traveling? Prabhupada said, no, I'm always traveling for Krishna consciousness and preaching. So I'm always having no inconvenience. I'm just traveling nicely. Prabhupada answered this question. The devotees who were next to Prabhupada, they knew that actually Prabhupada was also having inconvenience, but Prabhupada overlooked those inconveniences. Prabhupada, not just little inconvenience, very difficulty, lot of difficulty. Like Prabhupada traveled from India to America and he had 2 heart attacks, and Prabhupada says he has no inconvenience. And Prabhupada first time ever took a flight, I guess it was from going to San Francisco. Prabhupada traveling for the first time. And then also Prabhupada tripped and fell down, something like that. Prabhupada got hurt. So inconveniences definitely were there. Prabhupada was overseeing the inconvenience because he was looking at the inconvenience of people in general. This age of Kali Yuga who are not having Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada traveled 12 years all over the world and he sacrificed so much of his personal time, energy, and he also sacrificed his own sleep. It's so difficult to sacrifice for all of us. Prabhupada wanted to write these books, but Prabhupada knew that daytime he will not be having luxury of writing these books alone. Because the daytime he was traveling, he was preaching, giving lectures, darshans, meeting people. And therefore he saw that the only time he could spend writing his books, which are very important for everyone, was the night time. So Prabhupada sacrificed sleep. In one of the diaries of Harishwari Prabhu mentioned that Prabhupada would sleep at 8 p.m. in the night and would get up at 10:30 p.m. in the night again. From 10:30 in the p.m. the night, then morning 4 o'clock, Prabhupada would be busy writing books alone. Seclusion in his room, dictating purports, Bhaktivedanta purports. So we see that how Prabhupada was actually sacrificing his conveniences, his comforts, so that he could reach out to people in general. So Prabhupada was writing books, Prabhupada was pushing to print those books, and Prabhupada was pushing to distribute those books. Right? So Prabhupada was actually relishing his own Krishna consciousness while writing those books. Prabhupada said, these purports are my devotional ecstasies. Right. So, Srila Prabhupada was once in the night writing those books, dictating those books, and Prabhupada rang his bell. Prabhupada would ring his bell and call his servant. Servant came running and Prabhupada dictated what he was doing. The purport which he just dictated, he said, "This is not good. His Krishna is not so wonderful. Is it not so?" No, this devotee just came from his sleep, right? And he was like still half awake. So he was not understanding what's happening, what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada said, "We are dictating purpose of Prahlad Maharaj. What a wonderful devotee is he. Is it not?" Again, this devotee was completely confused. He was thinking Prabhupada needs some help in the night, so he's calling me. But here Prabhupada is actually revealing or uh, sharing Krishna consciousness from the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada understood that he is not able to raise anything. Prabhupada said, "I think so, you should take rest." And Prabhupada sent him back. So Prabhupada would relish writing those books, right? One time, one devotee who was typing all the dictations of Prabhupada, the devotee approached Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, for the last few days, your counter is very small, very low. That means you haven't done much of translation." So Prabhupada said, "Well, your work is very mechanical. You have to just type. But my work is very important. For the last 2-3 days, I am scratching my brains to to find some words which I should use so that I could convince people in general in Kali Yuga for the next 10,000 years this purport will be there." So Prabhupada was thinking so broadly about people in the age of Kali Yuga, not just present, but even in the future. So this was Prabhupada. And not that Prabhupada was doing this kind of things in a I mean, every time Prabhupada was traveling, there was so many inconveniences. When Prabhupada reached New York, so much of inconvenience. Prabhupada had to stay in Sali Agarwal's house, Gopal Agarwal's house. He had to share the same fridge. Prabhupada was not even staying at their house. Prabhupada was staying in some uh, dormitory or some room like that in YMCA. Inconvenience after inconvenience. Then Prabhupada left that particular arrangement and also then went to New York and then he shifted to Bowery. And then again, so many inconveniences. In fact, initial days when the matchless gifts storefront, 22nd Avenue opened up, then Prabhupada invited all the yippies to come and take lunch with him. So the lunchtime, many people will gather in Prabhupada room every day. They would just come in time for prasadam. And Prabhupada would cook that lunch every day, various items, for as many people as possible. Prabhupada would serve that and would encourage everyone, please eat more, please eat more. So there's one devotee, Prabhupada disciple Kartikeya, who was also coming at time and would come in time. One day, he was so absorbed in eating the prasadam that he completely lost track of time. And he saw that everyone who took prasadam just left. He was alone there in the room and he was eating prasadam. Then he turned around and saw no one is there and that only he and Prabhupada were there. And then he finished his prasadam and then he went and kept the plate in the sink or wherever Prabhupada was washing those plates. And he realized that in this house now there is no one. And all these plates have been piled up here. Who's washing those plates? Maybe he thought, is it that Prabhupada is washing those plates? So he asked Prabhupada, who's going to wash those plates? And Prabhupada said, I will wash those plates. And he was surprised. Such an elderly man, such an elevated personality like Prabhupada, and he is not only cooking but even washing the plates. So he turned around and said, Prabhupada, can I wash those plates? And Prabhupada said, I was waiting for someone to ask me that. So Prabhupada till that point would wash the plates of people who were not even devotees or upcoming devotees. So this is Srila Prabhupada's greatness, that how he would go out of his way to help people, encourage so many devotees, right? Shyam Sundar Prabhu experienced in one of his books that before coming to Krishna consciousness, he was involved in some dealing of drugs. So already the police had some warrant for him. Spent some time in jail. So later, then he became a devotee, and then the warrant came into existence, and then he had to go for a few days or a month in jail. Before going that, he went to Prabhupada. The Prabhupada, the initial days of his call. Prabhupada, I have to go to jail. So Prabhupada heard that, and Prabhupada said, no problem. Krishna also was born in jail, so no problem. Even in that, also Prabhupada saw something good. And then Shamsundar Poo said, well, I'm going to jail not like Krishna, I'm going to jail because I was dealing with drugs. Prabhupada said, when I was a Grahastha, I was also dealing with drugs and pharmacy. So no problem. Shamsundar Poo was mentioning Prabhupada was so positive. Even my ugly habits where Prabhupada was taking it as a, was encouraging me and enlivening me to continue Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately for Shamsundar Poo, he went for prison for some days, and the people in the jail, the policemen, they realized that this person is not a, it's kind of a different person, Hare Krishna. So they immediately, after a few days, just pull him out of the prison. So there are many instances in the life of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada disciples where they actually have seen Prabhupada's kindness upon the welfare of other living entities. In London, in the Bhaktivedanta Mandir, there's one devotee. He was mentioning in his talk that how there are many Hindu organizations which are there in London. They all tie up nicely with each other because they need each other's help. So ISKCON has many types with many Hindu organizations. And there's a give and take relationship. When our Janmashtami is there, Gaur Purnima is there, those presidents or the leaders of the organization, they also visit us. And when they have some programs, and devotees in ISKCON also visit them. So one time a very, very famous uh, Bhagavad Saptah Kathakar or Ram Kathakar from India, very famous personality. His name is Morari Bapu. He speaks beautiful Ram Katha and is well known all over India for his Ram Katha. People would come like in the measures of 5,000, 10,000 people would come at a time to hear his Katha. So he had come, one Hindu organization and organized his Ram Katha. And then he had extended invitation to come to all the other organizations. So from ISKCON, this devotee also had gone. So before the Ram Katha began, all the leaders of various Hindu organizations had a chance to meet his leader, spiritual leader, Murari Bapuji. So when he was meeting everyone, he saw the Hare Krishna devotee. He said, you are from Hare Krishna movement? And he mentioned that I admire Srila Prabhupada, your founder Acharya. So he was very happy devotee to know that this person who was already famous in the world, he also admires Srila Prabhupada. So he waited for some more time for this gentleman to reveal more about Srila Prabhupada. And this person, Bapuji, came and told this devotee that I am also traveling all over the world to preach about Lord Ram. And you are Srila Prabhupada also traveled all over the world. But I'll tell you, when I travel, I'm very conscious about my own purity. When I travel out of India, I always carry Ganga water with me in a big jar. And that Ganga water, whatever I drink, wherever I take bath, I put Ganga water in that bucket of water, in a glass of water. And then I drink this. That means every glass of water which I drink in London, I put one drop of Ganga water. And before taking bath on the bucket, I put one drop of Ganga water and purify the water and take bath. He was mentioning I'm so conscious that I'm in the outside world, in abroad where people are all very much inclined to sense gratification. So I don't want to be influenced by it. I'm very conscious of this. And then he mentioned that after I speak this 9 days of Amkatha, then I'll take 1 day full break, gap. I will not meet anyone. I will disassociate with everyone. And 1 full day I will do Maun Vrat, not even speak. Because I have interacted with so many people who are not even devotees, who may be new devotees or may not be very much geared with God consciousness. And then he mentioned, but your Swami Srila Prabhupada, he went to more difficult places than I go. And he went without Ganga water. Right? He did not carry Ganga water. Why? Because your Srila Prabhupada was so powerful and so pure that instead of the material world influencing him, he was influencing the material world. And therefore, your Srila Prabhupada is not an ordinary preacher, not an extraordinary preacher. He is a very, very special preacher. And he could go, and those people who did not know about Krishna, Prabhupada went in their midst, stayed with them, and made them practice Krishna consciousness and made them have the same spirit of giving Krishna to others. And all of these devotees would go out and preach just to preach the Prabhupada. And in this way, the whole ISKCON as movement has spread. Right? Srila Prabhupada was acting for the welfare of people in general, and he also inspired the devotees of ISKCON to also inculcate this habit of Janma Sarthakari while we purify our existence by taking seriously our sadhana and our Krishna consciousness. At the same time, we also extend whatever little small way we can do to share Krishna consciousness with others. And this is the theme of today's purport, that how the great sages, they saw that without a good king, the citizens were suffering. And therefore they sprang into action. They thought they should work on this. And they'll advise the king, and they will put a new king or whatever is required just so that the citizens are happy. So more about this story will be coming in future as other speakers come in and share their realizations of this particular chapter. At this point, we will end here. Thank you very much for joining us. And is there any at this time any comments or any questions which you wish to ask me? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
First of all, for coming on video, it was a very nice experience to see you speak, and the class was so beautiful. It was really, really such an enlightening session. Very, very sweet realizations from you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very, very wonderful class. Thank you very much. Also giving pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And in Srimad Bhagavatham also there is a verse that describes Prabhupada's character, that him being a revolution in an uncivilized person's lives. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very, very beautiful class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Is there anybody having any more questions or comments for Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. Very, very beautiful class. If nobody has any more questions, we would like to close the call, sir.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, August, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the beautiful class, Prabhuji, and thank you so much for the story about Krishna and Rukmini. Actually, in 2017, we did a drama on that. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for encouraging.
Prabhuji, thank you so much once again for the wonderful class. It was very beautiful. We are really, really grateful to you and look forward to having your association again in future. I think we don't have any more questions at this point, so we would like to end the call here. Thank you so much.
Thank you all of you. Hare Krishna. Meet you soon.
Vancha Kautarupyascha Shapasindhu Vyayavascha Patitinam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace BalDev Prabhuji ki jai.
This